Okay, so we are up to Kuf. Well, tonight's stop is Kuf Chav Hey, pretty small daf. We're on the bottom of Kuf Chav Dalit on the base. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 lines up from the bottom. All right. So Amar Le. Oh, so let's just reacclimate. So we're talking about the sugya here of a bechor taking pishnayim. That's what we've been talking about for a few days now. So we have a machlokes if a bechor takes pishnayim from improvements that happen after the father dies. Right. So depending, we had a machlokes whether so if the improvements happened, well, that's not according to all shittas either. If the improvements were paid for by the sons before the estate was split, then everybody holds that the bechor does not get pishnayim. Machlokes is if it happens by itself, meaning the price goes up. So then price goes up, l'chara, that would also, everybody would agree that the bechor does get pishnayim. But let's say something changed about it, but it happened by itself. All right. So that's the machlokes. Then we got into what about a loan? The father has a loan, so we said it's a machlokes. If the father lent money, and now it's coming, now the loan's coming back, it's getting paid back. So is that considered like part of the Yerusha, or is that considered something new? In which case, you have the machlokes. So that's basically what we're holding. So Amar Le, 8 lines up from the bottom, Kuf Chav Dalet from base. So Amar Le Rav Acha bar Rav the Ravina. So Rav Acha bar Rav said to Ravina, Ikla Amemar la'asrin v'dorish. Amemar came to our place and he darshaned. Bechor noitel pishnayim b'malva, meaning Amemar came. I think it means he really came from Eretz Yisrael, right? Which will fit with the Bnei Marava. Anyway, so Bechor noitel pishnayim b'malva v'lei b'ribs. So Bechor gets double on the loan, right? But not meaning not on the ribis, because the ribis is considered a new entity. Obviously, like we said yesterday, we're talking about ribis from a guy, because from a yid is an isser.
What about the ribis from before he was nifter?
Huh?
What about the interest before?
No, that's I'm assuming that's part of that's part of the thing.
It's part of the loan now.
Yeah. It's part of that the payment was made on that already.
Why did we say according to Rebbe it was considered command the Gavidamya?
Why was it?
Yeah, the ribis. And he also holds if it's not.
Well, there was two different versions of the Gemara.
If it's b'chlal not something that comes, he also agrees that meaning if it's something that's only going to come in the future, and it's either you have no shaykhus say now. He also agrees with Rabbanan that you can't consider it, shvacha that the Arshin could keep. All right, there are cases where he agrees with Rabbanan that it's too vite to be considered something that's already commanded gavidam. So why is ribis not part of that? Why does he hold that both of them are considered commanded gavid, or that you have some connection to it now? Ribis didn't take place yet.
I think that's sort of what the
Gemara never really explains it. The Gemara just says, Rebbe, we have a brace that says Rebbe says you get both, but how does that fit with what we had said earlier about Rebbe, that Rebbe agrees with Rabbanan that in a certain case that he agrees also that they can't collect, or they can't consider that it's considered roya, not muksuk.
Right, but there wasn't that was dependent on which girsa you go with.
Oh, it's a brisa. The brisa says Rebbe holds b'chor noitel pishnayim bein b'milva bein b'ribis.
Right.
There's a machlekes in Rebbe about that about Ribis and about Ribis itself.
No, not by ribbis, but stamban alone.
I'm saying, so you're saying would this price only go according to Shita?
I hear what you're saying. I'm not sure. I'm not sure.
I'm only asking because even according to like the Rabbana makes sense in this case. So why is Rebbe Chaylik? That's what I'm asking.
Yeah. I'm not sure. I hear you, Ara. Okay, so anyway, so he's saying that the Bechar can only collect on the original loan, not on the ribis. Amalei Nardoi, the Tamayu, that the Nardoi are going lefi their shitas, meaning there's two Nardois, the Amar, meaning two people from the Amar Rava, Gavu Karka, Yeshloi, Gavu Mois, Ainloi. If the loan was Karka, meaning the guy who owed the father money, paid him back in land, so then the Bechor gets Pishnayim. Gavu Mois, Ainloi. But if he collected money, meaning if the guy, the borrower from the father, paid back money, then he does not get it. Right? Why? What's the difference? Because karka is considered, like Akiva was saying, is considered like it was always in the father's rishus, but money was not. Money is a different thing than the loan, so it's considered a new entity that came in later. For Rav Nachman Omar, he says the opposite. Gavu mois yeshloi. If he collected money, he gets it. Right? Gavu karka ain't like, but karka not. Right? He says the exact opposite. Now, when it's considered, when it's karka, all right, so that's considered something new. So mamela, because it's not the field, he didn't borrow the field, or he didn't borrow that field, so it's considered something new. So mamela, the bechor does not get pishnayim, but money is money. Borrowed money, he paid back money, right? All right, so that's the machlekes. So Amalei Abaye l'Rabba. So Abaye said to Rabba, "L'didoch kasha, l'Rav Nachman kasha." Both Rabba and Rav Nachman, we have a kasha against both of you. L'didoch kasha, according to you, it's a kasha. Meaning, again, Rabba is the one that says that the karka, the bechor gets double, and Mois he does not. Right. So on Talmud Aleph now. Why are you saying that money doesn't work? Meaning that he doesn't get pishnayim. The lav hani mois shavakavum, because this is not the money that your father left you. Your father lent this money out, and the money that's being paid back is a different money. So Mamela, you don't get pishnayim on that. Karka nami. So why don't we say the same thing about karka? Lav hai karka shavakavum. This is not the karka that your father left, right? Because why? Like the Rashbam says, because the guy didn't have to pay back karka, he could have paid back money. Right? So he decided to give back karka. That's not the same karka. So Mamela, both of them should be considered like new entities, and the Bechor should not be entitled to Pishnayim. That's one kasha. And here's again Girsa issues. It says Ha'at Huda Amrit, so the Bach changes it Mar Huda Amar, because he wouldn't have said you. He would have said Mar, right? Mar Huda Amar, or Amar Mar, Mistaver time of the Bnei Marava. The Bnei Marava, meaning the people of Eretz Yisrael, but their psak makes sense. The Ikodem Safta v'Zavna Zvina Zvine, because if the grandmother would have sold, if their grandmother decided to sell the field, it would have been a good sale. This is one of those Gemaras where you need Amid Beis for the story in order to understand what's going on over here. But we'll just say over the story of what went on. I always want to make sure to say, hold on. Okay, it's on Amid Beis. A guy decided, the guy's dying, and he said, I want my grandmother to get all my money. Right? And after my grandmother dies, then I want whoever's next of kin to get it. Right? Meaning, so he's giving it to his grandmother with a Tanai. That when she, meaning let's talking about land here. So he says, I'm going to give this field to my grandmother. When my grandmother dies, it goes to the next kid. All right.
What if the grandmother says it goes to somebody else?
What if what?
He dies, and then what if his grandmother says it goes to somebody else? He's not in control anymore.
No,
He's
it's
dead.
right. No, but she can't. Well, that's part of the issue. But she can't. It's like a matana with a tanai. All right. He's telling her it's only yours till you die. Well, that's going to be, well, David, what you're saying, the Gemara discusses it as a sale, but exactly what the Gemara is saying. So is this considered a new entity to the Yarshim? Or do we say no? Because meaning, is it a new entity to the Yarshim? Because she theoretically could have sold it and finished. That would be the end of the game, right? That's essentially what you're saying, right? I mean, you were saying it as a matana.
Yeah. She's in control. She could do whatever. She could do whatever she wants, and then it's butter what he says. It negates what he says.
Right. Well, she could. That's exactly the point of the Gemara.
But see, isn't that true with every single Yerusha?
What do you mean?
That every single Yerusha, you could potentially sell it before any Yerusha takes place.
Who's selling it?
The grandmother.
Yeah, but this is a weird case because he said two things. He's giving it to his grandmother on a Tanai that when she dies, it goes to the next Yerush. Right? Well, there's more to the story anyways. Then he had, let's see.
Wouldn't it go to the next Yerush if he didn't say that?
It would go to multiple Yoshim. He said it goes to one. The first
No,
one.
meaning it's not going to the Yerush from her. It's going to his Yerush.
Oh.
It's going to his Yerush. This guy's giving it to his grandmother. He wants to help out his grandmother. Fine. It says after she dies, it goes to my kids, not her kids. Right? It sounds like a Rebbe Shemais over here. It sounds like who's going to become Rebbe, who's not.
This is a concept in American law called a present interest and a future interest. It's not like a Tanai. It's just you're giving the current ownership until the death, and then after the death, you're giving it to the inheritors. I mean, it sounds pretty much the same. I'm just saying that there is a concept of this in American law.
That's interesting. That's interesting. Oh, so there you go. Oh,
and
Hashem, we have the lawyer on.
Yeah, then there's rules about how long it can go on for, how long these things can go on for. It can't, because otherwise you can make tanais that would last forever. So they have a certain cutoff, but that gets into the rule of perpetuities, and that's going to give me PTSD if we talk about it. So
why'd you bring it up?
Just for the shear, for the sake of the shear.
Okay, good. That's helpful. So anyway, so again, he gave it to his grandmother. He says when she dies, it goes to my Yarshim, not to my grandmother's Yarshim. And then he had a daughter. He had an only daughter that got married. And then she died. Right? She died when her husband was alive and when her grandmother was alive. Right? And then the grandmother died. So now her husband says, I yarshin her, right? Because again, she was the only daughter of the son. Her husband yarshins the wife, and he says, I want to yarshin her. All right, so that's the case. So the Bnei Marava over there said, now back to our Gemara here. So Bnei Marava says that, well, the grandmother had the right to sell this property, and then there would have been the end of the story, right? Some Mamela what? So since the grandmother could have sold it, so then this is looked at like a Yerusha that came to the daughter after she died.
Why is it different than Menos Lofgad? That we're able to yarshin the grandfather?
No, because a daughter can get yarshin a father and a grandfather. This is talking about a husband. It's a special din we're going to see on Amid Beis that a husband only yarshins his wife. We had this a couple of blot ago. A husband only yarshins his wife from what do you call it? Liquid stuff, not stuff that comes later.
But over there, it was Roy. You know, it wasn't Mosik.
So the Gemara,
You're saying over there, the Gemara says it's Mosik, right? They had a special.
The Gemara ends up saying that.
You're saying Ba'atzim, it would have been Roy also if it weren't for the fact that they had a special than Mosik.
Correct.
Okay.
Yeah.
So why don't we bring a raya from there? Why'd they have to bring a raya from Rava? Is that like assumed everyone holds that way?
No, here they said that since the mother had a right. I don't know if the grandfather there didn't have a right to sell. It wasn't even his yet because it was only when they went into Eretz Yisrael. I think. So anyway, so the Bnei Marava said that this field, since the grandmother could have sold it and that would have been the end of that. So since she didn't sell it, it goes to the daughter only after the death, which means that the husband cannot yarshin it, because the husband can only yarshin liquid assets and not accounts payable and those type of things.
And if the daughter was alive and the grandmother sold it,
then a chanami.
She loses.
Then she yarshin. No, that's a yashi. The daughter yarshin food.
Sold it.
No, the grandmother sold. There's nothing to talk about. There's no Yerusha. Talking about the grandmother, since she theoretically could have sold it, right? Anyway, so the Gemara. So what's the kasha? All right. So we're saying that Rabbah holds. Seems like Rabbah holds that even if you know that you're going to get something's coming in, meaning accounts receivable, it's still considered as it wasn't collected, and therefore the bechor should not get double. So why is Rabbah saying that that karka, the bechor can get pishnayim? So that's two kashas on Rabbah. Rav Nachman kasha, and there's a kasha Rav Nachman. Maishno karka deloy. Why'd you say that karka, if the bechor can't take pishnayim the lav, or karka shavak avuin, because this is not the land that your father left you. Mois nami, the money also lav hani mois shavak avuin. This is not the money that your father left you. Meaning he's paying back the loan with money. How do you know that it's the same money? Right? So Mamela, why don't we say that the money is also considered not liquid for Oid and another kasha? So let's say Yisaimim collected karka for a loan that somebody owed their father. So Yisaimim went and got the karka. Now, Baal Chayv, now their father, not only did the father lend money, the father also borrowed money from somebody. So then the Baal Chayv, Chayzer Govim can go and take it from the assignment. Right? Now, what do you see? How can if you say that it's karka that came into the kid's possession after the father died is considered something new, it's not considered a Yerusha, so then the malva, the guy that lent the father money, should not be able to come collect the land from the kids.
Wouldn't that be because of Shubuta Durham Nassim?
I don't know.
Saying,
no, I don't think it's Shubuta Durham Nassim. I thought I would keep saying if you ask me, this is Malveloid Sunday, but
no, I'm saying if AO's B and BOC, then A could go collect. Then C could go collect from A.
Right, but there's a special din. Yisaimim, let's make this clear. Yisaimim do not have to pay back their father's debts. A Yasam does not have to pay back his father's debts. A father dies, his kids are not responsible to pay back his debts. However, if he has debts, then that comes out of the inheritance first. You get a difference? It's an important difference to know. If the father has debts, then the debts get paid back before any of the kids get money. But if the father had no money, but he had debts, the kids are not mechuyev to pay it. Right? So basically anything that's not a Yerusha, kids don't have to pay back. They only have to pay back what comes from the Yerusha. So if we're saying here that if the kids went and collected a loan that their father was owed, but their father also owed a loan, and Rav Nachman is saying that the one that lent the father money can come collect from the loan that the kids collected on behalf of their father's estate, that means that it's a Yerusha. It didn't come after Yerusha. In which case, if it's part of Yerusha, then theoretically, when they collect the loan, the Bechor should get Pishnayim. Right? We're saying a Bechor only gets Pishnayim from the Yerusha, not anything that came in afterwards. Right? So here, Rav Nachman's clearly holding that this thing came in, is considered like it came in by the Yerusha. If you hold that it came in by the Yerusha, so then it's then the Bechor should get Pishnayim. So basically, the Gemara has two kashas on Rabbah and two kashas on Rav Nachman. Again, Rabbah and Rav Nachman having a machlokes whether a Bechor, when there's a loan that's collected from the father's estate, can the Bechor get Pishnayim on that or not? So we have two kashas on. So again, Rabbah said that if it's on Karka, mixing it up, who holds what? That Karka, he does get Pishnayim, and the Gemara is trying to prove that according to Rabbah, he should not get Pishnayim. And Rav Nachman holds that there's Pishnayim on money, and the Gemara is saying that it shouldn't be either. So Amar Lei, well, 4 lines up from the bottom. Amar Lei, so Rabbah said back to Abaya, Loi lididi kasha, it's not a kasha on me. The Rav Nachman kasha, it's not a kasha Rav Nachman. Time of the Bnei Marava Kamrinon. We were just saying what Marava held. We were just saying over what the Bnei Eretz Yisrael say. But we don't hold of it. Right? We hold that, like Shmuel, that a Bechor never takes Pishnayim on a loan. Right? You were saying that we were just saying over Bnei Marava holds that a loan, he gets Pishnayim on the loan, on the principal, not on the ribis. But that's Bnei Marava. We ourselves hold that he doesn't get anything. Right? He doesn't get on any sort of loan, he doesn't get anything. So Memela, both kashas are answered. Right? Because it's not, we would say that he doesn't get anything from loans. And finished. Okay. Let's say you can't bring kashas from Karka, from Yisaimim, from Shibudim. Fine. So my Safta, what is the story of the Safta, of the grandmother? There was a guy who said to people, he said to Adam, he was on his deathbed, so Nichsi L'Safta. He said, I want all my property to go to my grandmother. U Basra Liyarsoi. And after that, right, I want it to go to my Yarshim. Not her Yarshim, my Yarshim. Havi Lebarti, he had a daughter, Tahava Nasiva, who was married. Shchiva b'chayi balo b'chayi Safta. And she died when the husband was still alive and when the grandmother was alive. So Basa the Shchiva Safta. So now, after the grandmother died, also Baal, now the Baal, again, she died before her husband died and before her grandmother died. So now basically what's going on here, and her father obviously died. He's where the money, the karka originated. Again, just to paint the picture here, a guy was on his deathbed. Instead of letting his daughter yashin him, he said, I'm going to give it to my grandmother. And then when my grandmother dies, it goes to my daughter. Right? Now, his daughter, and it was his only daughter, his daughter went and got married, and then she died. She died before the grandmother died, and she died before her husband. So now, who's the Irish? The husband's the Irish. Right? After the grandmother dies, the husband's the next of kin, because his wife was the Irish, and the husband Yashin's a wife. So also Baal Katava. The Baal came and he asked for the money, or not the money, the fields. Amar Rav Huna, Liarsi, it said the original owner who said on his deathbed that he should go to the grandmother, he said it should go to my Yarshim. Vafilu Yarsi Yarsi. It means not only does to the first level inheritors that were there, even the inheritors of those inheritors. Meaning, when he said it should go to my Yarshim, he didn't mean the first Yirish that's next of kin, as we say. But the next of kin after that wouldn't get it. So he's saying, no, it's Lav Dafka. Rav Huna saying he meant the Lav Dafka. He just meant whoever's the next person to be Irish. In this case, it happens to be that the first line next of kin was his daughter, but she already died. So it's going to go down to the next level, which is her husband. But Ravana says, no, we take his words at face value. Liyarsi, veloy liyarsi yarsi, to my Yarshim, and not to the Yarshim of the Yarshim. All right. So Mamela, what? It goes back to the grandmother who's no longer with us, and it goes to her Yarshim. So it's basically the grandmother's Yarshim fighting the husband, right? The husband's Yarshim. Yeah. So Sholchu, so again, it's a machlokes. Basically, the machlokes is dependent on between Rav Huna and Rav Anan, and whether the guy says, I wanted to go to my Yarshim, is it go to my Yarshim, first level Yarshim, and not to the second level Yarshim? Or does it mean that's what Rav Anan held? Or does it go, and Rav Huna held, it goes whatever, all the way down the line to his Yarshim, not his grandmother's. So Shilchum Misam, yeah.
Is it a machlokes whether the daughter is Yerush B'kever? Why should she not be Yerush B'kever?
Who said he lets? Even if she did, we're assuming that she did. No, he's saying that's a second level Yerush.
It's not. It's his daughter being Yerush.
And then his daughter, but it doesn't go from his daughter to his daughter's husband.
That's from her. That's not from him.
The father said it. The machlokes is whether the father meant that it's going to go down that far down the road. He held it. The machlokes is whether the father only meant
that. At that point, it's not up to the father. If the daughter's Yerush B'kever, then the Yerush has happened.
No, I think the father said, I'm letting the grandmother keep it if there's no first line Yerush. I don't know if I'm saying it's correct, but that's what I think.
There is a first line Yerush. The daughter.
She's dead.
So she's Yerush B'kever.
No, that's what he's saying. He's saying he's not. I'm not letting her have it.
So this lashon, sort of, Anan is saying that this lashon is specifically to say that she's not Yerush B'kever.
No.
Can he say that?
No, he's saying that if there's no first line available, then the grandmother keeps it. It's not a Yerusha. There's no Yerusha.
The grandmother first.
What?
After the grandmother comes the daughter.
Correct, but if there's no daughter, if there's no first,
she's Yerush.
No, he's saying that it doesn't. It's not a Yerusha. It's not being given away.
If she's not alive, she doesn't get it. That means she's not Yerush B'kever.
No. If there's no first line Yerush, then there is no Yerusha here.
If this lashon didn't happen,
then the daughter would get it.
Would be final, and she would get a B'kever too.
No, because if it's the grandmother, then it goes to her Yarshim.
No, I'm saying without this. If the daughter was
right,
B'kever,
so that's what he's saying. If there's a first line Yerush for me, then it's being removed from the grandmother. If there's no first line Yerush from me, then it stays the grandmother's.
But I'm saying, and as far as Hilchas Yerusha goes, in regular Hilchas Yerusha,
it should go to the daughter.
The daughter is Yerush at B'kever. That Yerusha happened.
Correct, but that's his Yerusha, not the grandmother's Yerusha.
He's not deciding the grandmother's Yerusha. He's deciding his Yerusha.
No, he's deciding. He gave it to the grandmother.
Yeah, until she dies. After
right,
that,
but he's only taking it away from her. He's only taking it away from her if she has, if there's a first line Yerush from him.
But he has no power to take away the grandmother's Yerusha.
He never. What do you mean?
It's not the grandmother's Yerusha is final. But I wanted to go to my Yerusha if there's a life one. He has no power to do that.
Right, but it's because it's not a Yerusha. It's a sort of like a temporary matana, like Michael said.
So Rav Anan should hold that even if she's alive, it still goes to the grandmother's Yerusha.
No.
If he gave it to, if the grandmother's the Irish, then that's it. She was Yarshin it.
She's not the Irish. She has it temporarily.
So then it's regular Yerusha laws. How is he changing regular Yerusha laws? How does he have the courage to do that? The only thing he has the courage to do is say that one Yerush comes before other Yerushim. After that, once the Yerusha happened, He has no courage to change that. It's his mother's now. It belongs to her.
Well, then it's not only a kasha Rav Anan, it's a kasha on both. What's the machlokes?
No, because if Rav Huna says that it's like a temporary thing,
But he's
then
only
very
saying
good.
because it was based on his terminology. It shouldn't be based on his terminology. It shouldn't make a difference.
It is, because all his terminology said was that temporarily my mother should get it. That's all he said. But really, the Yerusha is my daughter's. And that's what he holds. Temporarily, he goes to the mother, and then it belongs to the daughter. She's Yerush whatever. It's fine. According to
I don't know. You got to look at the
Rashbam.
Rashbam. Look at the Rashbam for Rav Anan Omar. See if that answers your kasha.
It doesn't. I don't know.
Does it?
Yeah.
Okay, I don't know then. I don't know more than the Rashbam. Anyway, so that's what the Gemara is saying is the machlokes Rav Huna Rav Anan, whether when he said it's going to my Yarshim, does it mean to multiple levels of Yarshim or just the first level? So Sholchu Mitam, they sent from there, from Eretz Yisrael, and this is what the Gemara Amud Aleph was referring to. The Hilchas HaKavah say the Rav Anan, the halacha is like Rav Anan, the Lav Mitamei, but not because of what Rav Anan said. Right? Again, Rav Anan had said that it only goes to the first level Yoirish of the guy that died, the original guy that died, and that's it. Hilchas HaKavah said the Rav Anan, the Baal Yoris. The reason the halacha is like Rav Anan is because a husband does not yarshin his wife, but v'lav mitame, not for the reason, meaning the Baal Yoris. I'm sorry, the husband does not yarshin his wife. V'lav mitame, not because of what Rav Anan said. The ilu Rav Anan savar, because Rav Anan would say avagav dahavale bra lebarte. Rav Anan would say, let's say this daughter had a son, right? Lo Yoris. That grandson would also not get it. Why? Because he's a second level Yairish. Meaning, according to where Rav Anan understands this fellow's Tanai, he said it's only the first level inheritor gets it. After that, he doesn't get it. And so that means that the husband doesn't get it. And if there was a child, the child doesn't get it either. But that's not the case. The ilu havale bra lebarte. If there would have been a son to the daughter, vada yoris, vada would have been yorish, because, like Rav Nachman said, that when the husband, the original guy that owned the land, said it goes to my grandmother, and then after she dies, it goes to the next of kin. It meant the next of kin all the way down the road. Okay, so then why is the husband not getting it? The reason why the husband is not yashin it is mishum dahavale roy, because it's considered roy, meaning it's not liquid. It's accounts receivable. And a husband, just like we said, a bachar doesn't take with roy kibbemochsik, so a husband also doesn't get. Meaning a husband, like we said on Amar Aleph, a husband only yarshins his wife from actual property or belongings that she has in her possession. Accounts receivable, the husband does not get. So this is also looked at like it's accounts receivable, because the wife wasn't alive and the grandmother had control of the property. And since the grandmother had the wherewithal that she could have sold the property and there would never have been a Yerusha here, so then the Yerusha only happens after the grandmother died. That's when the wife, meaning the granddaughter who had died, that's actually a great-granddaughter, right? Yeah, it's a great-granddaughter who had died, already. So that's considered roy, not muhsik. So maybe the husband doesn't get it either way. Fine. So now Mechlal, but then the Gemara says Mechlal, the Rav Huna Sava. So Rav Huna, who said that the husband does get it, must hold Baal Neitel B'Roy Kibemuchsik. He must hold that a husband does get Roy Kibemuchsik. So Amar Rav Elazar, Davar Zen Niftach B'Gedailim. This thing started with Gedailim, V'Nestayim B'Ketanim, and it finished off with Ketanim, meaning there's Rav Huna saying in a lashon of Anivas. The Gedailim, right? The Gedailim, meaning Rav Huna, had a machlokes, and we're going to decide, right? Meaning Rabbi Elazar is saying about himself that he's a katan. It says kol ha'omer acharecha. Anybody who says when he's giving a present, he's saying after you, it's going someplace else. It's as if it happened right now. Meaning in this case, where this guy was dying and he said, I'm giving thy land as a present to my grandmother. And then after my grandmother dies, this is going back to my next of kin. That's considered as if it was given me'achshav. Right? How this works in the lumdis, I don't know.
How could the grandmother sell it?
She can't.
She can't.
L'chara, she can't. All right.
The grandmother wouldn't get it at all. Then is what we're saying, right?
The grandmother would get the fruits. She'd get
Okay.
the field. She'd get to like in a marriage. Like next time you look, right? Meaning it's looked at as if the daughter, this guy's daughter, meaning the great granddaughter, owns the field, but the grandmother can use the fruit. That's the way Rabbi Loz is saying. It's a mamela. It's not roy kibamusuk. So now the Gemara is coming out that according to all opinions, a husband does not inherit his wife from accounts receivable. He only inherits his wife of things that she actually has. Okay, so why is there a machlokes here? Because Rav Huna is saying, Rav Elazar is saying, Pshana Rav Huna is that when the anything that is given as a present and then there's something after that, that's as if it was done me'achshav. So Marava, Mistaver, time of the Bnei Marava, it makes sense. The reason of Bnei Marava, the ikodim safta v'zavna zvina zvini. This is what we had on Amud Aleph. It makes sense what the Bnei Marava are saying. Right? It makes sense more than Rav Huna. Why? Because if the grandmother wanted to sell it, it would be considered a good sale. So if the grandmother would sell this land, it'd be considered a good sale. So that means that it's not the daughter's. It really belongs to the grandmother. Right?
Why would it be a good sale? Kinyan Peres Kikinin Aguftan?
What do you mean? He gave the whole karka to the grandmother.
He didn't. He gave her Kinyan Peres.
Well, that's the way Rav Elazar is saying it, but the Bnei Marava is saying not like that. Right? Yeah. So meaning, you're basically saying, so does it sound like their machlokes is what type of kinyan was done here? Right? Basically, that's what the Bnei Marava are saying.
So what is it? Well, according to Rav Huna, what is it? If it's not really kinyan aguf,
it is. It's a regular full kinyan.
It's clearly not, because he's even masking that if it was sold by the grandmother, even Rav Huna's masking that if it was sold by the grandmother, the daughter wouldn't be able to keep it if she was alive.
I'm not so sure that that's the case according to Rav Elazar's version of Rav Huna. It sounds like it's not the case.
In the case of Nechasi Lachach Ba'achrecha, if the first person sells it, what's the din?
What do you mean?
Yeah, in that case, if the first person
so I think he only gets Paris.
No, but let's say the first person would have sold it. Does the second person get it?
Does the second person get it?
In that case,
yeah.
Would everyone agree in that case that the second person wouldn't get it if the first person sold it?
I don't know if everybody would agree. Rav Huna would say that. Rav Huna would say it.
Rav Huna would say it's not a sale.
I think everyone. I mean, Rashban brings it down from the Gemara in Suba later on that everyone would agree in that case. It would be sold to Lagamri, and you wouldn't be able to keep it.
I don't know. I think that's what the machlokes is. So I'm just a little confused if that's what the whole machlokes is about. So then why is it mashma like that b'nei Marava?
Right, it's not mistaber. That's helpful for the machlokes.
Yeah.
Vice dice. That's not. I mean, that's probably what the Rosh Hashanah is saying. The Rosh Hashanah is saying is everyone would agree to that case. Somehow this case is slightly different, and Rav Huna is looking at it slightly different. Maybe because I don't know.
Right. I hear that. Fine. Okay, we'll stop over here. It's a little hard. It's a little bit of a hard daf to understand the lumdus, but we'll stop here. Let's say a tillim, and a reminder at 10 o'clock is kitzer for those that want. I don't know what parents when the parents is posting recordings or not, but